My name is Jerry Upp. I'm a veterinarian in Gearing, Nebraska. I'm originally from Gearing, and my first recollection of when I wanted to become a veterinarian has to go back to about 6th grade. It was kind of an ironic story. I had a 6th grade teacher, Mrs. McHenry, and she had us do a report on what we wanted to be when we grew up, and I put veterinarian down. I grew up as a Methodist. My folks were very strong in their faith, very good Christian people. The ironic part about this is I'm a convert. The teacher that I had in 6th grade, Mrs. McHenry, we sit in the same pews at church now, many years later. And so, like I say, I grew up here in Gearing. I went to undergrad in Lincoln, and then I went to vet school at Ohio State. The best part I brought out of Ohio State was my roommate was a very devout Catholic. He has a sister that was a very devout Catholic. I happened to notice a picture of her one time, and I was just joking with him. I said, "I'm going to have to marry that woman someday." Well, long story short, I did. And so her name is Stephanie. After I graduated from vet school, we moved to Seattle. We were there for a little while. Then we decided to get a little closer to family. I practiced in Kansas City, and then I had an opportunity of coming back here to Gearing. And so we've been back here since '92. We raised 3 great children. We have a daughter, Kristen, a daughter, Megan, and a son, Kyle, and they are all grown now. I wasn't quick to convert into the Catholic faith, but as the kids got older, I could see that it would really help family unity, and started becoming a lot more interested in converting to the faith. And at the time we had a priest named Father Gerald Haar, and he was pretty instrumental. I had some hurdles kind of to go through initially. I had gone to church, all the time with my family, but just never got to experience, the entire aspect of the Catholic faith. He was very helpful in kind of guiding me. I think it really helped our whole family. Not that it was bad to start with, but it gave me a lot more things in common with the rest of everybody in my family. I credit my wife for raising our kids very strong in the faith, and they still continue to be very strong in the faith. I think that she deserves a lot of credit when it comes to that, and we were very lucky to have 3 great kids. The faith has been very, very instrumental just kind of in my day-to-day life. I'm a pretty private person when it comes to religion, and I know that, I'm not the type that can go out and I'm not a good recruiter, let's just put it that way. One thing I kind of pride myself in is I try to see the best in all people. And having a veterinary hospital, you see every walk of life come through those doors. And the one thing that kind of helps me, it doesn't matter what your social and economic views are, what your religious views are, anything like that. I know everybody that comes through that door, we've got one thing in common, and that's a love of animals. So it's very easy for me to get conversations going because, 99% of the people that come through my doors are very concerned about their pets, which I'm concerned about their pets. So I kind of use that on a daily basis, and we've really enjoyed raising our kids here. We really enjoy the Catholic community here. Our kids went to Catholic school when they were elementary school when they were younger. Everything went really well when it came to the Catholic school in Scottsbluff at St. Agnes. And we still support St. Agnes quite often as far as their school is concerned. I had some problems early on in my life with some things that happened that maybe tended to throw me away from God a little bit. I lost my father at a young age. I was in the 8th grade, and about 2 years later, I lost a best friend in a car wreck. And so those two incidences probably steered me into wondering really if there was a God. Thought, I had a mother that was stuck with an 8th grade kid, and she was an older parent, and she had to struggle with those adolescent years of a son, being by herself. So it was a little tough to start with. And I kind of mentioned that Father Har was very instrumental when it came to conversion, and my wife was very instrumental. Having a science background, the hardest part for me was the Eucharist. And I had a hard time getting into the idea that was truly the body and blood of Christ. And unfortunately, I was probably the doubting Thomas type of person. And I every week I prayed that I needed a sign. I needed a sign. I won't go into what happened, but I have received it, and receive it almost every time I take communion. And so it was probably sad that it required me to have something like that happen, but it worked. And so I was a believer, but now became a true believer. So I think that I have family members that are jealous because of certain things that I experience. But for me, I think God realized that, okay, this guy needs a little nudge, and gave it to me.